بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Alhamdulillah, we begin our lesson in the Aqaid Nasafiyya, the commentary of Al-Imam Taftazani, by praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for this opportunity for us to continue in these lessons, and we pray that Allah bless us with His mercy and open for us in the doors of understanding, and bless us in the iman and taqwa, and protect us from all difficulties, trials and tribulations in dunya and akhirah. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us in the husnul khatima, ameen ya rabbal alameen. And before we begin, just a reminder that inshallah ta'ala we will enter into the 27th of Rajab, that is the significance of the occasion of the Isra and Mi'raj of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So it is going to be in our calendar this Wednesday, the night of Thursday, and inshallah ta'ala at Masjid Khalid, and we will have a talk on Isra and Mi'raj in English, and we will update the posters on our Facebook page, inshallah ta'ala. So now when we go back into our lesson in the Aqaid of Imam An-Nasafi, and we'll do a bit of revision based on what we have stopped or what we have mentioned in our previous lesson. So now inshallah we will straight away enter into our kitab. So this is what we mentioned in the last week. What is the meaning of the reality of things are, the reality of things are affirmed. I think I do not have any to repeat this. Then we move on into what Al-Imam An-Nasafi mentioned about the statement Haqa'iqul Ashya'i Thabitatun. So let me run through this again, inshallah ta'ala. We covered this in our last lesson. Maybe I will just give a summary, and to make things simple. You might find it's difficult, and if you read the translation, you might find something that's difficult, but actually it is something that is not really difficult, and it's just something that we need to ponder. You see, Al-Imam Taftazani, when he wrote this the commentary of Haqa'iqul Ashya, what is the meaning of Haqa'iqul Ashya? Haqa'iqul Ashya Thabitatun. So we have this proposition where it consists of the subject and it consists of the predicate. So he is explaining why Al-Imam An-Nasafi wrote this proposition as such, Haqa'iqul Ashya'i Thabitatun. So some people might misunderstood that this statement does not carry any benefit, in the sense that it is already known. So when you have a sentence that the predicate carries the same meaning as a subject, in the Arabic grammar, it is not mufid. Last week I spoke about in Arabic, we spoke about jumla mufida. This is exactly what he's speaking about. So Al-Imam Taftazani now he goes to speak about the linguistic aspect of the meaning of this proposition. So he's saying, do not think that Al-Imam An-Nasafi is coming forth with a proposition which is not mufida, which is not beneficial in terms that the predicate does not explains the subject, but in reality it explains. How does it explains? And this is basically what you see, the explanation, and he gave the example of wajibul wujud mawjud, wajibul wujud mawjud. So let us look at this an example of wajibul wujud mawjud. Now, when we say wajibul wujud, it goes back to the one who has necessary existence, whose existence is necessary. That is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, wajibul wujud. So wajibul wujud refers to the divine, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when you use the term wajibul wujud, what is the meaning of wajibul wujud? In aqidah, we learn wajib aqli, it means something that does not accept non-existence. So when we speak about an existence, al-wujud, that is wajib, it means it is an existence that does not any accept any non-existence, and it is always any in existence. So if it is always any in existence, an existence that does not have a beginning, does not have an ending, an existence any that cannot cease to non-existence, then what is the benefit any of saying mawjud? Any mawjud any is the khabar, that is any the predicate any that explains any the subject. So when you use any the word wajibul wujud, it is understood that it must be in existence, and because wajibul wujud cannot accept non-existence. But what is the purpose of the word mawjud? So here Al-Imam Taftazani is saying the sayings of Al-Imam An-Nasafi, when he say haqa'iqul ashya' thabitatun, he say it is the same and like saying wajibul wujud mawjud. So when you say wajibul wujud and mawjud, wajibul wujud is something who's always in existence. So what is the benefit any of saying it is mawjud, that it is in existence? See, now we speak any about the benefit of affirmation. The benefit of affirmation. Yani meaning, when I say wajibul wujud and mawjud, I am saying any that I am any affirming and I am believing that wajibul wujud, that is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is in existence. So it is an affirmation. It is an affirmation. You see, there is a difference between a person who believes and a person who does not believe. So, for example, if a non-believer, for example, says the same thing, wajibul wujud mawjud, but he does not believe in this statement. He does not believe in this proposition, but he speaks about this proposition, but there is no affirmation. Like in mantiq, we spoke about tasawwur and tasdiq. So first we have tasawwur of the meaning, and then we have the tasdiq, the affirmation. So the thing what is important here is the affirmation. So the meaning is such that we are saying that we are affirming that wajibul wujud, the one whose existence is necessary, is in reality in existence. So this is a kind of affirmation. So does the predicate gives any benefit in this situation? Yes, because it shows you that the person who speaks this proposition is telling you that it is something that he affirms to. Because now Al-Imam An-Nasafi, when he said haqa'iqul ashya' sabitatun, he is saying that it is based on affirmation, that it is something that is affirmed. Because as what you will find later on, he speaks about the Sufista'iyah. There are people out there who does not affirm about the existence of realities. People who negate the existence of realities. So Al-Imam An-Nasafi is saying that the realities, their existence are affirmed, that we affirm the existence of those realities. So this is basically a summary of what he is saying. So that is why he say rubbama yahtaju ila al-bayan. When he say wajibul wujud mawjud wa hadha al-kalam mufid, he said when you say wajibul wujud mawjud, the one whose existence is necessary, is in existence, despite necessary existence and it must be in existence, he said hadha al-kalam mufid, that this proposition is a proposition that gives benefit, because it tells you that the person who is saying this is saying that I affirm to this statement, I affirm to this proposition. Rubbama yahtaju ila al-bayan, but it is in need of explanation, because if people do not know the explanation, people might misunderstand that it does not give any benefit, because it is something that is known. Walaysa mislu qawlika as-sabitu sabitun. And then he said that it is not the same as saying as-sabitu sabitun, something that is sabit in existence is in existence. Something is in existence, this is different. If for example a person says for example that I am in existence, I am in existence, or a person says that my existence is existence, so it goes back into the same thing, correct or not? It goes back into the same thing. Wala mislu qawlihi ana abu najmi wa shi'ri. And likewise, he says there is a poem of a person by the name of Abu Najm. He says shi'ri. Ana Abu Najm wa shi'ri shi'ri. If he is saying, and for example, my poem and is my poem, and it doesn't make sense. I mean, it doesn't gives any benefit. It doesn't give benefit unless if there is bayan. If there is bayan, any meaning there is an explanation. Why he is saying this? What is the explanation behind when he say shi'ri shi'ri? Yani for example, if I say the word shi'ri shi'ri, and literally it means my poem is my poem. My poem and is my poem. And what is this benefit? In order for me to make this statement mufid, yani a beneficial statement, I have to interpret. I have to explain. How do I explain? And for example, I said, if I am what I meant by saying my poem is my poem, meaning my poem is the best. My poem of all poems cannot be equivalent to any other people's poetry. So as though my poem is exclusive. So in a sense that I say my poem, it speaks about exclusivity. Then it is of any benefit. Meaning there is a meaning. The what you call it, the khabar explains the mubtada. The predicate explains the subject. Then it is mufid. But for the sake of me saying my poem is my poem. So if I ask a person asks me, what do you mean by my poem and is my poem? I say this is my poem and it's my poem. So in this case it doesn't give any benefit. So this a bit technicalities pertaining to the construction of sentences in the Arabic language. على ما يخفى وتحقيق ذلك أن الشيء قد يكون له اعتبارات مختلفة. طيب, now Al-Imam Taftazani speaking about something else. Now he goes to speak about when we speak about things, a shay. Sometimes if you speak about any one aspect of a particular thing, it might gives big meaning. When you speak about another aspect of the same thing, it might not give any benefit. So how can that be? He gives an example after this. يكون الحكم عليه بشيء مفيدا بالنظر إلى بعض تلك العبارات دون البعض. يعني sometimes when you speak about a particular thing, one aspect it gives any benefit. Sometimes you speak about another aspect, it does not give a benefit. What is the example? And he say kal insan, like the example of human beings. In our last lesson, we spoke about the definition of al-insan. We say al-insan huwa al-hayawanu natiq. That insan is a rational being. Yani a being that is able to think. كالإنسان إذا أخذ من حيث أنه جسم ما كان الحكم عليه بالحيوانية مفيدا. So for example, if I look at just one aspect of insan. So insan, we say hayawan natiq. Hayawan is a living being. Natiq is intellectual or rational. But if I just look at the aspect of hayawaniya, insan as a living being, so I can apply to it al-jism, any body. I say that insan is a body. Insan is a body, and insan is hayawan. Insan is hayawan, no issue. Because it is correct, and I say that insan is a living creature, and it is a body. So here I'm just speaking about one aspect of insan, because when I speak about body, it is something that is general that encompass all of the living beings. For example, animals is also hayawan, and animals is also jism. Insan is hayawan. Insan is jism. Correct or not? So, but this is just one aspect of insan, that he is jism. So if I only speak about the part of hayawan, and I say that insan is jism, no issue. No issue. Here any the author is saying any al hayawaniya mufidan. And it is something any that is mufid. But وَإِذَا أُخِذَ مِنْ حَيْثُ أَنَّهُ حَيَوَانُ نَاطِقْ كَانَ ذَلِكَ لَغْوًا. But if I speak any the aspect any that insan is hayawanu natiq, hayawan natiq any meaning yani not only any is hayawan any a living any creature, but any he possess the intellectual any capacity, that he is any rational. So in this any situation, by just any saying any that insan any is a body will not any give benefit, will not any give any benefit, because any if I use any the term any natiq, here I am specifying any insan, and I'm saying any that insan any is different any from all other types any of hayawan. Correct or not? If I look any at the complete any aspect any of the definition any of insan, I differentiate any human beings any from the rest any of living beings, But if I just look at the word hayawan, there are many similarities any between human beings any and the rest any of the living beings. And one example any is that they are jism. But if I look any at the aspect of hayawanu natiq, this is specifically any for insan. So by saying any that insan any is jism, with regards any to hayawanu natiq, it does not any gives any much. It does not any give gives any benefit. So this is any what any the author any is trying any to say is that sometimes any you use any part any of the description any of a particular any reality or particular thing, that it can any gives any benefit, but sometimes any it does not any gives any benefit. So we have any to look any at how any it is mentioned. So that is why going back any to what we mentioned any before this also. When we speak about haqa'iqul ashya, we speak any about the definition any in terms any of al-had, the complete any definition, where it encompasses any the essence any of that particular thing. So that it is something any that is established any in its reality, and something any that is explained in terms any of the reality any of its essence, rather than any you use any a partial any definition, because any partial any definition any can be applied to certain any aspects any but not in other aspects. So let us any just read any the translation that you have. So the translation here and it says the verification any of this lies in the fact that the thing may have different aspects to be taken into consideration, and applying upon it the classification of a thing may be beneficial when looking at some of those aspects to be taken into consideration in exclusion of others. For example, a human being, when taken from the aspect of being a body, applying any upon him the label of animality, any hayawaniya, gives any beneficial information. But if taken any from the aspect of him being again, it is what you call this is not correct. This is any an intellectual any being. This is any a better any translation. But here any you see he said talking any animal ala kulli hal. Then the application any of that label any will be futile, any meaning not of benefit. So I hope any it is clear any inshallah ta'ala. So now any we enter any into our lesson any today. Actually the last part we have not any spoke any about it last week. The part any earlier that we mentioned about any the benefit any of some any sentences. So now we will go any to the next part, where he mentioned wal ilmu biha. So the aqaid of Nasafiyah ini says haqa'iqul asya'i thabitatun wal ilmu biha mutahaqqiqun. This is what Al-Imam Nasafiyah is saying. So Al-Imam Taftazani will explain. So we have mentioned any about the meaning of haqa'iqul asya. What is any the meaning any of the reality any of things any are affirmed, yani in their existence, in terms any of their essence. So we do not any reject what you call it the existence any of realities. Any realities any are in existence, and it is based on affirmation. It is based any on any affirmation. Wal ilmu biha, and knowledge any biha regarding it. Ha any goes back any to haqa'iq. Ha any goes back to haqa'iq, any even though later any Al-Imam Taftazani any will say there is a weak any opinion that says any something else. But he mentioned the prevailing opinion first. Wal ilmu biha, and knowledge about it, about those realities. Because there are people who reject the existence of realities. And number two, you have people who does not reject the existence of realities, but they are saying that it is impossible for us to know al-ilmu biha. It is impossible for us to know those realities. We do not have any knowledge of those realities. Clear? So here Imam At-Taftazani is rebutting two schools of thought of the main schools of thought of Sufusta'iyya, which inshallah ta'ala we will mention in greater detail afterwards when he speaks about them. But here he is basically saying that there are two types of people. Number one, there are people who reject the realities, by saying there is no such thing as truths and realities. We spoke last time also about the a truth and a statement and the correspondence of truth and how it corresponds to the reality and so on and so forth. So there are people who reject all these theories, and likewise they reject the existence of realities. And you have another group of people who reject the knowledge of these realities, and by saying that we do not have the ability to know about these realities. These realities may be in existence, but we do not know. So there is a difference between the two. So number one, total rejection. Number two, rejection in terms of the inability to know. So I hope it is clear, inshallah. So Al-Imam At-Taftazani is rebutting both. So number one, he rebuts those who reject the existence of realities, and now he is speaking about the knowledge of those realities. Wal ilmu biha, he said bil haqa'iqi. So the ha goes back to haqa'iq, the reality. Min tasawwuratiha wa tasdiq biha wa bi ahwaliha. So he mentioned three things here. Number one is to have tasawwur of that particular reality. Number two is tasdiq, affirmation. And number three is the characteristics, bi ahwaliha. Let me give you an example. For example, I say this is a book, correct or not? I say it is a book. So this is a reality in existence. This is a truth, correct or not? It is indeed a book. So this is tasawwur. Affirmation, I believe it is a book. We affirm that this particular thing is a book. And now I am opening this book. I'm opening this book. So I am affirming that this is true. That this is a book and it is opened by me. So we have tasawwur and tasdiq. And then we have the characteristics. And when we look at the characteristics of this book, we say this book is is small in size or big in size, or the color is such for example. So this is knowledge on the characteristics of that particular thing. So we have tasawwur and tasdiq. This is what we learn in logic and mantiq, correct or not? In logic, tasawwur it is translated as significance, the significance. And when it comes to tasdiq, we say it is affirmation. So for example, we say this is a book. So the word this it is a subject, and then we have the predicate. So we have this tasawwur of the subject and the tasawwur of the predicate, and then comes the affirmation after that. The affirmation is the belief of this proposition. As proposition is made up of the subject and predicate in mantiq, and we call it al-mahmul and al-mawdu. Al-mawdu is a subject, and then we have the mahmul. So we have tasawwur on the and understanding about the subject and the predicate, and then comes in the tasdiq. The tasdiq is when we have affirmation of that particular proposition. And likewise, when it comes to the characteristics of that particular thing. So this is the meaning basically of wal ilmu biha. Knowledge on the reality of that particular thing. In terms of tasawwur, in terms any of tasdiq, in terms any of ahwal. Mutahaqqiqun, yani something any that is verified, something any that is any established. طيب. Then any he mentioned waqila. For those any who have any the book, or you are writing any notes, you just any put down there any waqila, any is another opinion, and there's a weak opinion. Mostly any in books in Arabic, and when you come across qila, we call it yani siratu tamrid. Siratu tamrid. Siratu tamrid, and it carries any a weak any meaning. In our language, and we say it has been said. It has any been has any been said. وقيل المراد العلم بثبوتها للقطع بأنه لا علم بجميع الحقائق والجواب أن المراد الجنس. طيب. Al-Imam Taftazani, he says that when Al-Imam Al-Nasafi is saying وَالْعِلْمُ بِهَا مُتَحَقِّقٌ, yani knowledge on those and realities and is verified and affirmed, does it mean any that we know every reality out there? Yani do human beings any possess any the knowledge any of everything? Of course not. Correct or not? There are a lot of things any that we do not know. So what is the meaning of Al-Imam Al-Nasafi any when he said that the reality any of things any are verified? Does it mean any that we know any everything, the reality any of every substance any in this universe, the reality any of everything any that we see, and everything any that we do not see? Do we possess any the knowledge? We do not any possess any the knowledge of everything. But what is any the meaning any of mutahaqqiq, in the sense that we verify then the reality any of things any are established? Here Al-Imam Taftazani mentioned wal jawabu anna al-murad al-jins, yani jins al-haqa'iq, that the what you call it, the genus any of this any things, of the reality any of things, and in general we say they are established any and affirmed. Meaning any we are saying any that we are not any rejecting any the reality any of things, despite we do not any possess the ultimate knowledge of every thing any in its reality, but it doesn't mean any that we reject the notion any that the reality any of things any are in existence and are established. Because what you call it, the skeptics any might any be saying any, but you also any do not know many things. How can any you be sure? This is how some people any might say, how can you be sure that the reality any of things and all of the things any established any when you do not any possess any knowledge any of all things? So we say that we are not any saying any about possessing knowledge any about all things, but we are saying this is a principle, a general any principle that we believe that with the reality of things any are established, any in terms any of a general any concept. So this is any basically what any Al-Imam Taftazani any is mentioning. So now any we read any again. And he said waqila al-muradu bil-ilm bi-thubutiha. There's something any I did not explain, I forgot any to explain in the beginning. So we explain in this verse. He said it is said any al-muradu al-ilmu bi-thubutiha. There is any opinion any that says that haqa'iqul ashya sabitatun wal ilmu biha. The ha goes back to subutul haqa'iq. So this is any difference any between the first and the second. The first and it says that the ha goes back to haqa'iq, but there is another opinion Al-Imam Taftazani and is saying the ha yani goes back any to the taqdir subutul haqa'iq, yani as though Al-Imam Nasafi and is saying wal ilmu bi subutil haqa'iqi mutahaqqiqun. So wal ilmu bi subutil haqa'iqi mutahaqqiqun, yani knowledge any on what you call it, the existence and the establishment any of these realities are verified. So it carries any a difference any in meaning. Because why any this second any opinion any comes? Because any they are fearful that it might be misinterpreted. Because some people any might be thinking if you say that wal ilmu biha, the ha yani goes back to haqa'iq, as though yani you are claiming yani that you know any every haqa'iq. But Al-Imam Taftazani is saying that is not the case. We are not any saying that we know any every thing in its reality, and in what you call everything's every things in its reality. We are not any saying any that we know everything, but we are saying any that we believe any in the establishment and the establishment and the affirmation any of the realities in terms any of its general any concept, in terms any of the general concept that it is established. So it doesn't mean any that we know any everything, but any we believe any in the establishment any of those realities any in its existence. I hope it is clear any inshallah. This one is al murada al jins. So now we read any again say waqila al muradu. Yani there is an opinion and by saying al ilmu bi subutiha, al ilmu yani what you call it wal ilmu biha goes back and to bi subutiha lil qat'i, yani due to the conviction bi annahu la ilma bi jami'il haqa'iq, because nobody any encompass the knowledge any of all any realities. Then Al-Imam Taftazani, as though he rebut any this opinion and by saying wal jawab an al murad al jins. But the what we meant any by wal ilmu bil haqa'iq any is jins al haqa'iq. It is any the genus any of the realities. So we are saying any in general any realities are established. Mutahaqqiqun is then he mentioned raddan ala al-qa'ilin. And before that, we just read the English and the translation. He said, meaning the knowledge any of the realities any of things from their perceptions and their verification and their states. It has also been is verified as having a haqiqah. It has also been said that the intended meaning of that statement is knowledge of the affirmation only, not knowledge of all of their realities. And the response of Imam Taftazani to this is that the intended meaning is of jins of species, meaning the species of realities in general. So I hope it is clear inshallah. So although you do not know all any realities in its reality, there are certain things that you do not know about those realities. It doesn't mean that it does not exist. Correct, no? It doesn't mean that you do not know what is happening in the universe. It doesn't mean that they do not exist and it exists. So here we are speaking about a general concept of the establishment of these realities. Despite we acknowledge at the same time that we do not possess any knowledge on some of those realities. So what is the difference between us and the Sufista'iyya? Because here Al-Imam An-Nasafi is saying there are people who reject the existence of realities. What is the difference between us and them? The difference is that we do not reject any realities. We do not reject realities, but at the same time we are not claiming that we know every reality. So we know part of the reality of things in terms of the knowledge, but we do not reject what you call it the realities that we do not know. So here we are speaking again we are speaking about the concept. The concept of that these realities are in existence, even if we do not possess knowledge of their existence and knowledge of their realities. Now, so there is a difference between rejecting any realities and what you call it not knowing some realities. So not knowing any doesn't mean it is not in existence in terms of its reality. Then he mentioned raddan ala al-qa'ilina bi annahu la subuta li shay'in min al-haqa'iqi wa la ilma bi subuti haqiqatin wa la bi adami subutiha khilafan lis-sufista'iyya. So again as what I mentioned in the beginning of the class, that Al-Imam An-Nasafi is rebutting two types of Sufista'i, two types of Sufis. People who basically reject these realities. Number one, they are of those who reject all forms of realities. Who says that there is no such thing as realities, everything is just an illusion. and things any are not any in existence. It is just any our perception and so on and so forth. So it is any kind any of skepticism. They call it any philosophical any skepticism. So this is the first part. The second group any is they say that the reality any of things any are what you call it established and in existence, but we do not know for sure. We do not know any for sure. So they reject the existence of the possibility of knowing about a reality, about something any in its reality. So this is any the second group any of people. So that is why Al-Imam At-Tabtazi is saying raddan ala al-qailina bi annahu la thubuta li shay'in min al-haqaiq. So this is any the first group, because any they are rejecting any all forms any of realities. Number 2, he said wala ilma bi thubuti haqiqatin. He said that the second group, and he says any that there is no knowledge, that it is impossible any for us any to know about the establishment any of any reality. Wala bi adami thubutiha, whether it exists or it does not exist, whether it is established any or it is not any established. So this is any a kind any of what you call it a skeptic, where they say any we do not know. Khilafan li sufustaiya. Then he mentioned yani this is any different any then this is any against any the principle any of the Sufis, because any the Sufis are basically any people who reject any realities, and they have any different types. So he said khilafan li sufustaiya. This is any the words any of Al-Imam An-Nasafi, and then Al-Imam At-Taftazani any explains who are the Sufis. So here any we have any the word sufustaiya, sufustai. Yani in Arabic any we have any the word safsata. Safsata yani when you speak any something any in contradiction, which is against reasoning. So in originally any this word sufustai, of course any it is a Greek word. Yani it traces any its roots any goes back any to the pre-Socratic any period, where they are known any as the Sufis. So they reject any realities. They reject any realities, and they say that we do not any possess any knowledge of any reality, any reality. Even any they doubt in their own existence. Even any they doubt in their own existence. Yani they are saying any maybe any I'm in existence or I'm not in existence. Any I do not know. This is any the second group. The second group any who reject any to the possibility any of possessing any knowledge any on the realities any of things. So now Al-Imam At-Taftazani any is going any to speak about the types any of Sufustai. They have any different schools any of thought. So he began any by speaking any the first time. He said that fa inna minhum man yunkiru haqa'iqal asya'i. So the first type any is the one any who reject any all reality of things. Wa yaz'umu annaha awham. They claim any that all these things any that they are seeing any is awham. Yani it is like an illusion. It is like yani what you call it something any then that is not any real. Something any that is not real. So they are skeptical any about the existence any of the things any around them, and including any their own any existence. Wa khayalat, yani it is like something imaginary. It is not any in real any existence. So that is why you find Al-Imam Nasafi, and he began his Aqaid Nasafiya any by speaking any about epistemology, about any the concept any of knowledge, the concept any of knowledge, and so that then we are able any to differentiate what you call it, those any who are the Sufustai, any those any who reject any realities, so that any we can understand how are we able any to think any logically, how are we able any to reason any logically and the right way. So Islam any mashallah any taught us any about yani the correct any theory any of knowledge. How are we able any to use this logic and this kind any of reasoning for us any to ascertain the existence any of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when comes any to the Sufustai, these are the people any who reject any, these are the people any who reject the reality. So number one, the belief that there is no such things any as a reality or truth, that everything and is imaginary and what you call it يعني in doubt any of their existence. Wahum al-inadiyah. So this is any a term that Al-Imam Taftazani gave any to those any who reject any realities any in total, who reject any realities any in total, any he named them as al-inadiyah. The word any al-inadiyah any comes any from the Arabic word al-inad. Al-inad yani meaning yani anada, stubborn. Yani in Arabic any when you say someone any is anid, someone who is anid, yani he is any stubborn, stubbornness. So this word any al-inadiyah it comes any to this what you call it, to this meaning, the fact that these people any are looking at realities any around them, even any despite any they are seeing, they are feeling, they are what you call it listening, and the Quran any speaks any about our senses any, correct or not? Inna fi khalqis samawati wal ardi wa ikhtilafil layli wan nahar la ayatin li ulil albab, any in the creation any of the skies, in the creation any of the earth, in the coming any of the day and night. So all these are realities. This is haqa'iqul ashya ini, as what we mentioned. The universe any is a reality. Human beings any is a reality, any in its terms and essence and in terms any of its existence. So how can any we doubt any what any we are seeing, any what any we are witnessing, what any we are listening, what any we are thinking. So this is any a virtue that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless all of us, so that any we are able any to understand His existence, we are able any to understand His power, we are able any to understand the manifestation any of His attributes any in His any creation. But if a person any, for example, despite Allah gave him the eyes any to see, despite any giving any the ears any to hear, but any he's saying any that what you call it, none any of these realities any are in existence, and nothing any is what you call it established, despite any he is any witnessing. So this is a kind any of stubbornness, that you are witnessing any yourself and you are denying it. So it is what you call it a characteristics any that comes any from the evil any self of human beings, that we deny any the things any that we have any witness. Wahum al-inadiyah. Wa minhum, and then he speaks any about the second type any of sophistry. Wa minhum man yunkiru thubutaha. So this is the thing any that we mentioned any before this. The first any we speak about the people any who reject any all forms any of realities of things. Number two, there are people any who reject knowledge any of having the knowledge any of those realities. So as though any they are saying there might be reality, and it is like a skeptical any position. There might any be reality, but we do not know for sure. That we do not know. We do not know what is any established and what is not any established. What is any a reality and what is not a reality. So they are denying having any knowledge and the possibility any of anyone any to possess any knowledge any about a particular reality. وَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ يُنْكِرُ ثُبُوتَهَا وَيَزْعُمُ أَنَّهَا تَابِعَةٌ لِلْاعْتِقَادِ حَتَّى إِنْ اعْتَقَدْنَا شَيْءَ جَوْهَرًا فَجَوْهَرٌ أَوْ عَرَضًا فَعَرَضٌ. So now any this any particular group and in the second any category, they say that we do not know for sure about any a particular any reality. So it all any depends any on what any you believe. Upon what you believe. Tabi'atul lil i'tiqad. So he said that if we believe that a particular thing and is a substance, then it's substance. If we believe any that a particular thing and it is an accident, then it's an accident. So for example, I believe any that this is a substance, correct? No? I believe any that this is a substance, and this is in reality a substance. That's what we mentioned, that what you call this any the reality, this is a truth, al-haq. Haqa'iqul ashya sabitatun. What is this? This is any a mark. This is any a mark. So it corresponds any to the reality. So it is something that is affirmed and established. Tamam. But this kind of people, any if you ask them, any for example, you ask them any what is this? Yani they say to you any it is a mark, but to me any it's not. It depends any on individual. the theory of or the philosophy of relativism, that it depends any on what you want. It depends any on you. If you believe that it is a mark, then it is a mark. If you believe it is a substance, it is substance. If you believe that this is not in existence, and if, for example, a person said this is not any in existence, then it is not in existence. So you cannot be saying that I'm wrong or you are wrong, because this is relative. This is subjective. It is not any objective. It depends any on our i'tiqad. It depends any on what any we believe. And likewise, any you find any, for example, even any in our Islamic sphere, you have any people any, for example, even they adopt any this philosophy any in the Islamic any sciences. Yeah, like in fiqh any, for example, any some people any nowadays any they can say that to me this particular thing is haram, but to you it's not haram. To me it's wajib, but to you it's not wajib. But it's okay. I might be right, and you might any be right. So all of us any we can have any our own any opinions. So this is what you call it. This is any one any of the influence of some any Muslims any when they read any Western any philosophy, and they are what you call it influenced any by this safsata, by this any safsata as what any we mentioned, the theory any of relativism. To you any it is right, but to me any it might be not right. And likewise any in the sexual any revolution any nowadays, about this LGBT. Nowadays any people any are saying any, for example, that what you call it, I might be a boy, I might be not. So I do not know whether I am any a boy or I am a girl. You might any perceive me as a boy, but to me I'm a girl. So now it becomes any relative. So a person and he might have any body any of a boy, but to him any he is not any a boy. So now, if you do not know any of this philosophy, and you might be thinking that what are these people any talking any about? But in reality any it is a philosophy. It is sophistry. This is what Al-Imam one of the examples Al-Imam Taftazani and is saying. He gave an example any of substance, jawhar, that we say that this is any a substance. Say to me this is any a substance, but to you is an accident. Accident meaning like the color, for example, or the size. That it is not in essence. So it depends any on what any you believe or you want to believe. Aw qadiman fa qadimun. Yani if you say that God yani is qadim, then he's qadim. If it's hadith, then hadith. So to me and he's qadim, but to you is hadith, but it's okay. I might be right, or you might be right, or I might be wrong. We do not know for sure. This is basically what they are saying, that we do not have the knowledge. We do not have the knowledge and that is affirmed. So everything and is based on skepticism. Everything and is based on any skepticism. So this group and he call it fahum al-indiyah. Al-indiyah. Yani indiyah ini it comes from the word indi. Yani to me. To me and it's like this, and to you and it's like that. So there's no reality. So the reality and is subjective. It is relative. Correct or not? So we find that nowadays a lot of this is happening in the Western world, and also in our country. For example, also amongst Muslims, and even in Aqidah also we have this concept of relativism. Nowadays people are saying, for example, to you Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a body, but to me Allah is not a body. You might be right, and you might be wrong, or I might be right, or I might be wrong. So there is no truth to it. We do not know. So this is a problem. This is a big problem that what you call it that we are facing. So when you start to say that it is wrong, they brand you as extreme, that you are trying to what you call it, make your views obligatory upon others, because in reality they come to the state of suposta'iyah, where they do not believe in such things as the ultimate truth. So to them the truth is relative. So when the truth is relative, you shouldn't be pretending to have the truth. I shouldn't be pretending to have the truth, because nobody have the truth. So we just believe based on what we want to believe, and what any we believe any is the truth any based on what we believe and not any based any on the truth any in its reality. So this is what you call it happening or not happening at Jama'ah. This is happening. This is happening in Aqidah, and it's happening in fiqh, and also as what I give an examples. Nowadays, any people and are saying, any for example, certain things any is wajib, but actually any is not wajib. To you any is wajib, but to me any is not wajib. So I can do any whatever I want. You can do any whatever you want. Liquor any to you is haram, but to me any is not haram. Putting on the hijab any to you is haram, but to me any is okay. So if you believe that is haram, then you put on any the hijab. But you cannot say that I'm doing any sin because any to me hijab any is not wajib. For example, so this is any the philosophy of India nowadays. Of course, what you call it? We have this what you call it this theory any of relativism, and also this is any one any of the effects any of postmodernism. One of the effects any of postmodernism is that they believe any in subjectivity. So there is any no reality any of truth any out there. And then after that any he mentioned وَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ يُنْكِرُ الْعِلْمَ بِثُبُوتِ شَيْءٍ وَلَا ثُبُوتِهِ وَيَزْعُمُ أَنَّهُ شَكٌّ وَشَاكٌ فِي أَنَّهُ شَكٌّ. This is the third one. This is a bit any what you call it. It feels that it's very complicated, but in reality the majority any of the West, and if you ask which one, number 1, number 2, or number 3, and the most people any are affected with, the third one actually. La adriya. Nowadays, and we call it the agnostic. What you call it in here, any the Imam Taftazani, and he mentioned la adriya. La adriya, yani meaning yunkirul ilma bi subuti shay'in wala subutihi. Yani people are saying, and for example, I do not know. For example, we ask, is this any in existence? So they say, I do not know. It might be in existence, it might be not. It might be in existence, it might be not. So we do not know any for sure. So they are rejecting any possibility any of possessing any knowledge about any the reality any of a particular thing. And he is any in doubt that he is in doubt. Even any he is in doubt any of his own existence. And this is called la adriya. The word any la adriya comes any from the word I do not know. So again, it is from any the philosophical any of skepticism, philosophy any of skepticism. So the terms any used any by Al-Imam Taftazani is al-inadiyya. Number 2, al-inadiyya is the one any who rejects any everything. Al-indiyya, it is relative and subjective. Yani to you it's real, to me it's not real. La adriya, we do not know for sure. There is no any reality out there. We do not know. It might have a reality, it might not have. So these are some of the things any then what you call it nowadays, and you find atheists, and for example, and they are saying, so they are rejecting, and at the same time also they are saying anyway we do not any possess any knowledge, we do not know any for sure. So there's no such thing any as true, because we also any do not know whether there is true. There might be, there might be not. So these are what you call it some of the things any when it comes any to the la adriya. So these are any the 3 types any of the schools any of Sufustai. So inshallah ta'ala, and because any of time, and we will stop here, and inshallah next week we will continue. And for those who are following, I will inshallah go through the commentary of Taftazani, because any of the importance any of this commentary. And I do not know if there are some of you and you have difficulty in following, but inshallah ta'ala we pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy inshallah. So even though the commentary of Taftazani and it can be very difficult, but there are a lot of benefits in it, and many of the things that we are witnessing today are explained by this great Imam. Inshallah ta'ala, in the future what I will do I try to make things more easy and break it up, and inshallah come out with some slides and so on and so forth. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. صلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. الحمد لله رب العالمين.